When I was growing up in a small suburban town just outside of Columbus, Ohio, there wasn't much that made me feel like I stood out. I was the middle child in a family of five, squeezed between a big brother who excelled at sports and a younger sister who was basically a prodigy in everything creative. I was just there, ordinary. I blended in the hallways at school, did decent in my classes, but nothing about me screamed special. Except for one thing. I had a best friend everyone envied. Her name was Kayla. From the very first day we met in fifth grade, she had this energy about her that pulled people in. She was funny without trying too hard, confident without seeming arrogant, and she had this way of making you feel like you mattered. To me, that was everything, because I had never felt like I mattered much at all. Kayla and I clicked instantly. We sat together at lunch, did projects side by side, and passed notes in class when the teacher wasn't looking. By the time we hit middle school, everyone knew us as a pair. Wherever I was, Kayla was right next to me. People even joked that we were like sisters, and honestly, that's how it felt. She wasn't just my best friend. She was my person. And when you're a teenager, having that one person feels like your entire world. I trusted Kayla with everything. Every secret I was too scared to admit to anyone else, she knew. Like how sometimes I stayed up late crying because I felt invisible in my own family. Or how I pretended to like certain songs just so my classmates wouldn't call me weird. She was the one I confided in when I admitted I had a crush on Ethan, a boy in our math class, and the one who helped me write a note to slip into his locker. But more than anything, Kayla made me feel seen. She would look me in the eye and say things like, "You don't even realize how amazing you are, do you?" And even if I didn't believe her, I wanted to. When the other girls teased me about wearing the same hoodie too often, Kayla shut them down. When I was too nervous to try out for debate club, Kayla pushed me to sign up anyway, and she even joined too, just so I wouldn't feel alone. I thought that was love. Not romantic love, but the kind of deep, loyal love that you only hear about in movies or see in storybooks about unbreakable friendships. High school only made us closer. We walked to class together, studied late into the night on FaceTime, and dreamed about the future. We would scroll through college websites together, imagining what it would be like to move away and finally start our real lives. We even made a pact, no matter where we ended up, we'd never let distance break us apart. But what I didn't realize at the time was that everything I believed about our friendship was built on a lie. Looking back now, there were small cracks I ignored. Like the time I got an A on an English paper and Kayla brushed it off, saying the teacher must have graded me easier. Or the time I was nominated for homecoming court and Kayla said it was probably just a pity nomination. At the time, I laughed it off, thinking she was joking. Because that's what best friends do, right? Tease each other. But underneath those words, there was something darker brewing. The truth is, Kayla wasn't just my best friend. She was also my biggest rival, and I didn't even know it. It started subtly. Freshman year, when I landed a part-time babysitting job, she suddenly began talking about how she wanted to start working too. When I started to get closer to a new group of friends in theater, Kayla suddenly joined theater too, even though she'd always said she hated performing. I thought she just wanted to be around me. But in reality, she wanted to be me. I didn't notice it at first. I was too blinded by my loyalty, too convinced that she loved me the way I loved her. We had countless sleepovers where we stayed up until 3 a.m., whispering about everything from our fears to our crushes to the things we'd never admit to anyone else. I told her about my dad's drinking and how it made me scared sometimes. I told her how I hated looking in the mirror because I never felt pretty enough. I told her how I dreamed of escaping our town and making something of myself. And every time, she listened. She nodded. She promised me she'd always be there. So when I finally got my acceptance letter into my dream college, the University of Michigan, I couldn't wait to tell her first. I still remember running down the hallway, clutching the envelope to my chest, bursting into her room like it was the most natural thing in the world. She smiled, hugged me, and said she was proud. But there was something in her eyes, just for a moment, that didn't match the words coming out of her mouth. It was a flash of something I couldn't name at the time. Jealousy, maybe. Or even anger. But I pushed it away. Because how could I believe anything bad about the one person I loved more than anyone outside my family? What I didn't know, what I couldn't have imagined, was that behind that hug, behind that smile, Kayla was already planning something. She wasn't proud of me. She wasn't happy for me. She was about to ruin me. And when the truth finally came out, it shattered everything I believed about friendship, about love, and about myself. Because Kayla wasn't just my best friend. She was my worst nightmare. The weeks after my acceptance letter felt like a dream. For the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't just the middle kid or the girl who blended into the background. I had worked hard, stayed up late studying, poured myself into essays, and now it had all paid off. I was going to the college I'd dreamed about since freshman year. My parents threw a little dinner for me at home. Nothing huge, just pasta and cake, but I didn't care. To me, it meant the world. My older brother teased me about becoming too smart for the rest of us, and my little sister begged me to buy her Michigan merch when I moved. For once, the attention was on me. I felt special. Of course, Kayla was there. She sat next to me at the dinner table, smiling, clapping, hugging me like she meant it. She even said, "See? I always knew you were going to do something amazing." But then the subtle dig started. When I mentioned how I couldn't wait to move into the dorms, she said, "Well, don't get too excited. I heard dorm life is disgusting, shared bathrooms, no privacy. You'll probably hate it." When I told her about the program I was entering, she rolled her eyes and said, "Yeah, but everyone gets weeded out in the first year. Don't be surprised if it's harder than you think." It wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it. Sweet tone, playful laugh. But the words landed like tiny paper cuts I couldn't explain to anyone else. At first, I thought maybe I was overanalyzing. Best friends tease each other, right? But deep down, something inside me started to shift. I began noticing little things I'd brushed off before. Like how she always forgot to take pictures of me at parties, but her phone was full of selfies. Or how she never posted about my achievements, but always expected me to hype hers up. Or how she had memorized my entire schedule without me ever giving it to her. The cracks were forming, and I couldn't stop myself from staring at them. Then one day, something happened that I couldn't ignore. I was at the library, using one of the school computers because my laptop had died. I logged into my email, checked a few things, and then noticed something strange. When I typed my name into the search bar just out of boredom, a profile popped up. A social media account I didn't recognize. At first, I thought it was just some random fake profile. People make them all the time. But then I clicked, and my heart nearly stopped. The account had my name, my pictures, my birthday, even old photos from middle school that I didn't even remember existed anymore. But it wasn't me running it. The captions didn't sound like me. They were twisted versions of things I'd said in confidence. Sometimes I think my parents don't even love me as much as they love my siblings. I hate how I look in the mirror every day. No one would even notice if I disappeared. My secrets. My private thoughts. Words I had spoken only to Kayla. I remember sitting there frozen, staring at the screen as if the longer I looked, the more it would make sense. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe I had forgotten I'd made the account. Maybe. Maybe anything but the truth. But the truth was undeniable. Kayla was running it. At first, I didn't want to believe it. I told myself there was no proof. Anyone could have stolen my photos. Anyone could have made up those captions. But in my gut, I knew. She was the only one who knew those words, those secrets, those fears. When I confronted her, I didn't go in guns blazing. I didn't want to accuse her and risk breaking the only friendship I had. So I tested her. I casually brought up a caption I'd seen and said, "It's weird. I saw something online that sounded exactly like me." Her reaction told me everything. She froze for just a split second before laughing it off. "That's creepy." People are so obsessed with you, I swear. Obsessed. The word lingered in my chest like a stone. But instead of cutting her off, I let it go. I convinced myself I was being paranoid. Because how could the girl who braided my hair before homecoming, the girl who stayed up all night helping me study for finals, the girl who promised to be my maid of honor someday, how could she be the one betraying me? So I buried it. I smiled, nodded, pretended everything was fine. But then things started happening that I couldn't ignore. Rumors about me began circulating in school. Whispers in the hallway. People looking at me differently. Someone even slipped a note in my locker that said, "Attention seeker." I didn't understand where it was coming from until I remembered the fake account. The captions, the twisted truths, they weren't just words on a screen anymore. They were shaping how people saw me. And Kayla? She stayed by my side through all of it, pretending to be the supportive best friend. She even hugged me once and said, "People are just jealous of you. Don't let it get to you." But sometimes, I caught her smirking when she thought I wasn't looking. The final straw came one Friday night. We were at her house, sitting on her bed scrolling through TikTok, when her phone buzzed with a notification. She reached for it too quickly, almost like she didn't want me to see. But before she could flip it over, I saw it. A message preview that read, "New post idea. Maybe say something about her cheating on her exams?" And the account name? The exact fake one I had found. My chest tightened. My hands went numb. I wanted to scream, cry, demand answers, but instead, I froze. I don't know why. Maybe because the thought of losing her was scarier than the thought of her betraying me. I left her house that night with a pit in my stomach, knowing deep down that everything was about to unravel. And I was right, because the moment I got home, I checked the account again. And there it was. A brand new post. A post accusing me of cheating my way into the University of Michigan. The one thing I had worked for my entire life. The one achievement that finally made me feel like I was worth something, reduced to a lie by the person I trusted most. I stared at the screen, my heart shattering into pieces. Kayla wasn't just pretending to be me. She was trying to erase me. The post spread faster than I ever could have imagined. At first, I thought maybe no one would believe it, that people would roll their eyes and move on. But high school has this way of feeding on drama like it's oxygen. By Monday morning, it felt like everyone had seen it. Whispers followed me down the hallway. People who used to smile at me now turned their heads. Even some teachers seemed to look at me differently. And Kayla? She walked by my side, holding my arm, telling people off if they made comments like she was my defender. But behind closed doors, she was the one holding the knife. I wanted so badly to confront her, to scream at her, to throw the truth in her face. But every time I built up the courage, I stopped myself. What if I was wrong? What if I destroyed our friendship over a misunderstanding? What if she really was the only person I could trust? That fear kept me silent, until the rumors started reaching places I couldn't control. One afternoon, I came home to find my mom sitting at the kitchen table, her face pale. She had her laptop open, and on the screen was the fake account. "Sweetheart," she said slowly, "do you know about this?" I tried to explain, but the words felt clumsy. "It's not me. I swear, it's someone pretending to be me." My mom furrowed her brow. "But these are your pictures, your words. Why would someone do this? Why would someone do this?" I didn't have an answer. Not one I could say out loud. How could I tell her that my so-called best friend was behind it? That the girl she let sleep over almost every weekend, the girl she treated like a second daughter, was the same one poisoning my reputation? I shook my head, tears stinging my eyes. "I don't know," she sighed, pulling me into a hug. "We'll figure it out. Just try to stay focused. Don't let this ruin your future." But it was already ruining everything. By the end of the week, the guidance counselor called me into her office. She looked uncomfortable, shifting papers on her desk before finally saying, "There have been some concerns raised about your application essays and academic integrity." My heart stopped. Concerns? I asked, my voice cracking. She nodded. Anonymous reports. Nothing confirmed, of course, but the admissions office contacted us for clarification. Anonymous reports. I didn't need to ask who had sent them. I knew. It was Kayla. The girl who braided my hair. The girl who promised to be my maid of honor. The girl who told me I was amazing when no one else did. She was tearing my future apart piece by piece. I walked out of the counselor's office in a daze. The hallway blurred around me. I didn't even notice when Kayla appeared at my side. She linked her arm through mine and whispered, "Don't worry, you'll be fine. People are just jealous." Jealous. That word again. Like she was mocking me. Like she wanted me to know, without saying it directly, that she was the one behind it all. For the first time, I pulled my arm away from her. Her smile faltered, but only for a second. Then she laughed, as if nothing had happened. But something had happened. Something inside me had cracked wide open. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, scrolling through the fake account, reading every caption over and over again. Each one was like a dagger. Twisted versions of my fears, my insecurities, my confessions. She's not even that smart. She just copies other people's work. Her family doesn't really care about her. She's just the extra kid. If she gets into Michigan, it'll be a joke. She doesn't deserve it. And the comments? God, the comments. People laughing. People agreeing. People saying they always knew I wasn't who I pretended to be. It felt like I was drowning, screaming for help, and the only person close enough to hear me was the one holding my head under the water. By morning, I made a decision. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I couldn't keep letting her get away with it. I had to confront her face to face, no excuses. So at lunch, I pulled her aside. We stood near the lockers, the noise of the cafeteria muffled behind the doors. "Kayla," I said, my voice shaking. "I know it's you." She tilted her head, all wide-eyed innocence. "Know what's me?" "The account. The posts. The rumors. It's you." No one else would know those things about me. For a moment, her mask slipped. Just a flicker. Her smile tightened, her eyes narrowed. And then she laughed. "You really think I'd waste my time pretending to be you?" she said, her voice dripping with mockery. "God, you're so full of yourself." My stomach twisted. "Don't lie to me. I saw the notification on your phone. I know it's you." She leaned closer, her smile sharp now. "And if it was? What are you going to do about it?" The air left my lungs. Because in that moment, I realized the truth. She wasn't ashamed. She wasn't scared. She was proud. Destroying me wasn't an accident. It was her plan all along. I wanted to scream, to hit her, to make her feel even a fraction of the pain she had caused me. But I couldn't move. I just stood there, shaking, while she smirked like she had already won. And maybe she had. Because within days, things only got worse. One morning, I walked into class to find a printed screenshot of the fake account taped to my desk. In bold red marker, someone had written fake across my name. Everyone laughed when I sat down, my face burning. Another time, a teacher pulled me aside after a test, quietly asking if I had studied honestly. And then, the message from the University of Michigan came. A polite but cold email saying they were reviewing my application for inconsistencies. Everything I had worked for, every late night, every essay, every sacrifice, was slipping through my fingers. And Kayla? She was right there, watching it all fall apart. Smiling. The girl who once felt like my sister was now my enemy. And I had no idea how to stop her. There comes a point when the pain turns into something else. At first, I cried every night, burying my face in my pillow so my parents wouldn't hear. I felt powerless, like Kayla had stolen not just my reputation but my voice. But after that email from the University of Michigan, something inside me shifted. I couldn't just sit back and let her destroy me. I had worked too hard. I had sacrificed too much. I wasn't going to let the girl I once trusted with my entire soul erase me from my own life. So I started paying attention. The next time we were together, I watched her more carefully than ever before. How she locked her phone the second I glanced at it. How she smiled too sweetly when people mentioned the rumors. How she seemed to know things about conversations I'd had in private, as if she had been watching me through a window. Kayla thought she was smarter than me. She thought I would stay quiet forever, too scared of losing her to ever fight back. But she underestimated one thing. When you push someone into a corner, eventually, they learn how to fight. The first thing I did was gather evidence. I made a secret folder on my laptop and started saving screenshots of every post from the fake account. Every twisted caption, every stolen photo, every rumor-laced comment, I saved them all. I even started recording conversations with Kayla, slipping my phone into my pocket whenever she came over. It felt sneaky wrong, but what she was doing was worse. And if she could play dirty, so could I. One night, while we were at her house watching Netflix, she went to the bathroom and left her phone charging on the nightstand. My heart pounded as I stared at it. This was my chance. I didn't want to cross a line, but desperation makes you do things you never thought you would. With trembling fingers, I picked it up. The screen lit up with a string of notifications from the fake account. My chest tightened. It was her. It was always her. But before I could open anything, footsteps echoed in the hallway. I dropped the phone back onto the nightstand and shoved my hands under the blanket just as she walked back in. My heart was racing so loud I thought she'd hear it. She flopped down next to me, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. But I had seen enough. I knew I was right. The problem was, knowing the truth and proving the truth are two different things. And Kayla was clever. She covered her tracks too well. So I came up with a plan. If I couldn't catch her in the act, I'd make her reveal herself. The next day at school, I told her something I hadn't told anyone. I leaned in close at lunch and whispered, "Hey, don't tell anyone, but I'm thinking about turning down Michigan and applying to Ohio State instead. I just feel like it might be a better fit." She blinked at me surprised, but then smiled. "That's smart. Don't rush into anything." I waited. That night, I checked the fake account, and there it was. A brand new post. "She's freaking out about Michigan. Guess she's not even going anymore. Probably couldn't handle it." My hands shook as I stared at the screen. That was it. Proof. She was the only one I told. The betrayal burned deeper than ever. This wasn't just about jealousy or competition. She was actively trying to ruin me, piece by piece. But for the first time, I didn't feel powerless. I felt determined. I showed the screenshots to my brother first. He listened silently, scrolling through the posts, his jaw tightening with every word. Finally, he looked up at me and said, "You have to expose her. Don't let her get away with this." His words lit a fire in me. So I kept collecting. Every slip-up, every rumor that traced back to her, every post that matched something only she could know, I documented it all. And then, when I had enough, I went to someone I knew couldn't ignore it. Our guidance counselor. I walked into her office, my folder trembling in my hands. For the first time, I told the whole story. The fake account. The rumors. The betrayal. Everything. She listened quietly, her face unreadable, as I showed her the evidence. When I finished, my throat dry, she sat back and said, "This is serious. Very serious. We'll need to involve your parents." I nodded, my heart pounding. This was it. The point of no return. When my parents found out, they were stunned. My mom kept shaking her head, whispering, "Kayla? But she's like family." My dad's face darkened, his fist clenching. They wanted to call her parents immediately, but the counselor suggested waiting until the school could handle it properly. In the meantime, I had to keep pretending. Pretending to be her friend. Pretending not to know. pretending not to feel my heart breaking every time she smiled at me like she hadn't just stabbed me in the back. But inside, I was counting down the days until her mask would finally shatter. And then, it happened. 2 weeks later, the school organized an assembly for senior achievements. I was supposed to be recognized for my acceptance to Michigan. I didn't even want to go. I felt humiliated, like everyone thought I didn't deserve it. But my parents insisted. So I stood there in the gym, surrounded by classmates, my stomach in knots. When my name was called, I walked to the stage, forcing a smile. The applause felt hollow, fake. I could almost feel Kayla's eyes burning into me from the crowd. But then, just as the principal handed me the certificate, a phone buzzed loudly in the bleachers. A group of students started laughing, pointing at their screens. Kayla's fake account had posted again. This time, during the assembly. Guess she's fooling everyone again. Michigan must be desperate if they took her. Gas rippled through the crowd as phones lit up with a notification. Teachers tried to quiet everyone down, but the damage was done. The humiliation hit me like a wave. But then something unexpected happened. The guidance counselor, who had been sitting near the front, stood up. She motioned to a security officer, who walked straight to Kayla. I'll never forget the look on her face, wide eyes, pale skin, frozen smile, as they asked her to step outside. The gym buzzed with whispers. And for the first time, I didn't feel powerless. For the first time, the truth was finally catching up to her. The moment Kayla was led out of the gym, a silence fell over the crowd. It was like every single person there knew they had just witnessed the crack in her perfect mask. For years, she had fooled everyone, me, my parents, our classmates, even our teachers. But in that instant, the truth was no longer something I carried alone. The assembly ended in chaos. Students whispered and speculated. Some stared at me with wide eyes, connecting the dots. Others avoided me, too uncomfortable to say anything at all. I stood frozen on the stage, certificate clutched in my hands, feeling both exposed and liberated. When I finally walked out of the gym, my guidance counselor was waiting for me. She gently touched my shoulder and said, "It's okay. We have everything we need now." And for the first time in months, I actually believed her. The fallout began almost immediately. Kayla was pulled into the office with her parents, mine, and the school administrators. I sat outside in the hallway, my stomach in knots, while muffled voices rose and fell behind the closed door. When the meeting finally ended, her parents stormed past me. Her mom's face was red with shame. Her dad wouldn't even look at me. Kayla trailed behind them, her head low, but as she passed, she lifted her eyes to mine. There was no apology there. No regret. Just cold hatred. And I realized something. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry she got caught. Over the next few days, the truth unraveled. With the evidence I collected, the screenshots, the recordings, the trap I'd set, it became undeniable that Kayla was the one behind the fake account. She had been pretending to be me online for nearly 2 years, twisting my secrets into lies, poisoning my reputation piece by piece. Her parents were horrified. They apologized to mine, though it felt hollow. The school suspended her for harassment, and the counselor assured me that the University of Michigan would be notified of the truth. But none of that erased the scars she left behind. Because the thing about betrayal is that it doesn't just disappear when the betrayer is exposed. It lingers. It whispers in the back of your mind, reminding you of how naive you were, how easily you trusted. For weeks, I felt hollow. People at school were suddenly on my side again, rushing to tell me how they always suspected something was off about Kayla. Teachers treated me with newfound sympathy. Even classmates who used to laugh at the rumors now apologized in hushed tones. But where were they when I was drowning? The fake smiles, the sudden support, it all felt fake. The only people who truly stood by me were my family. My brother kept reminding me how strong I'd been to fight back. My little sister slipped notes under my door that said things like, "You're the best role model ever." And my mom told me every night, You are more than what she tried to make you. Slowly, I began to believe them. The hardest part was letting go of the idea of Kayla. I kept replaying our memories in my mind, late night sleepovers, whispered secrets, promises we made to each other. I grieved not just the betrayal but the friendship I thought I had. Because even if it was a lie, it had felt real to me. One night, I pulled out an old photo album. There were dozens of pictures of us together, smiling at birthday parties, matching outfits at football games, goofy faces at sleepovers. I stared at those pictures for a long time before finally closing the album and sliding it under my bed. That chapter of my life was over. And as painful as it was, I realized something important. Sometimes, losing someone is the only way to find yourself. When graduation came, I walked across the stage with my head held high. The whispers were gone now, replaced by cheers. I spotted my family in the crowd, waving wildly, tears streaming down my mom's face. For the first time in a long time, I felt proud again. Kayla wasn't there. Her parents had pulled her out of school and transferred her somewhere else, far away from the wreckage she had created. I never saw her again. But her absence was louder than her presence ever was. Because she had taught me the harshest lesson of all. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. Sometimes, the people closest to you are the ones who want to see you fall. The summer before college was a time of healing. I spent more time with my family, rebuilding the trust I'd almost lost. I hung out with people I had ignored before, realizing that true friends aren't the ones who shine the brightest, but the ones who stay when everything goes dark. And when I finally packed my bags for Michigan, I felt a mix of fear and excitement. Fear of trusting the wrong people again. Fear of being betrayed. But also excitement, because I had survived the worst, and I was still standing. On my first night in the dorms, I lay awake in my new bed, staring at the ceiling. I thought about Kayla, about how she almost destroyed me, about how, in some ways, she still haunted me. But then I thought about everything I had learned, about how strong I had become, about how I had fought back when it would have been easier to give up. And I whispered to myself, she didn't win. Because the truth was, she hadn't. I was at my dream school. I had my family by my side. I had a future she couldn't take from me. And most importantly, I had myself. Looking back now, I realize that Kayla's betrayal, as devastating as it was, shaped me into who I am. It taught me to question, to stand up for myself, to value the people who truly love me. It taught me that trust is fragile, but resilience is stronger. And maybe that's the silver lining in the darkest storm. Even when someone tries to destroy you, you can still rise, piece by piece, until you're whole again. So yes, my best friend pretended to love me like a sister. Yes, she shared every secret I trusted her with only to use it against me. Yes, she lived a double life, pretending to be me, trying to erase me. But in the end, she failed. Because I'm still here. And I'm stronger than she ever was.